Yo, 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 welcome to Pitch Report. I'm Mario.
And I'm Amilcar.
And I don't really have to ask you how your weekend was. I know it was amazing. You spent it with really good company.
Yeah, we spent at least Friday and Saturday together. So that was fun.
Yeah, we had a good time. More to come, but I think one of the highlights was going to a Chelsea supporters bar in Culver City,
hmm
which I had never been to like a official supporters bar for a game of that set supporters group, and it was pretty fun. It was like even livelier than I anticipated.
Yeah, I've never been to something like that. I have been to like a kind of soccer specific bars and like EPL bars and stuff,
Yeah,
which are kind of crazy. But yeah, seeing it at a specific supporter groups and everyone's just wearing the same thing, chanting, like it was very lively. And I think we talked about it. Where like it's like makes you so excited to go to like our specific teams, like their supporters bars in LA and San Diego, respectively.
yeah, and like even for the World Cup, I'm bummed that so far I haven't secured tickets, and I thought I'd be able to go to multiple games. But right now, the way that prices are going, I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. That won't happen. But these bars look like pretty fun to watch the games. So shout out to CILA 1905. That's at, by the way, and the at LA Chelsea Blues. They were great hosts, and we had a really good time. At first, I was a little nervous because I was wearing an Henry jersey with France, not Arsenal. And they were like, "Oh yeah, you should probably change out of that."
Yeah, the big issue was me. I was wearing the Spain jersey, right, the red jersey, and they were like pretty
Yeah,
concerned, about that. But then they're like, "Oh yeah, the blue jersey, you're fine, you'll be good." And I'm like, it's Henri," and they're like, "Oh no, you got to change." It's like, all right, fair enough.
yeah. It was funny once we were in because at that point I changed into like a Mexico World Cup T-shirt, and with the Amilcar, he was wearing like a very visibly Spanish red jersey, and you would see people like scanning the room and then like do a double take when they would like pass you, and then they'd see like, oh, okay, it's not Arsenal.
Yeah, they're like
And they're like,
mad dog me, and then I'd point like, look at the badge, and like, oh okay, all right, cool, we're
they're like,
good,
all right,
But it
he's fine.
definitely stood out. It was like a sea of blue, and then it was just me sticking out in
Yeah.
red. So, wouldn't recommend wearing the opposing team's like colors, even like regardless of the jersey. Just don't wear the colors at all because you'll stick out, and people will just berate you a little bit, especially once the drinks are flowing. Because I think that's
Yeah,
what was starting to happen.
yeah. In opposing team period, you just probably wouldn't get in. But again, it was a great environment. I highly recommend it. Just yeah, take that advice. But other than that, it's really fun. So we really recommend checking it out. And if you're near Joxer, Daly's or Daly's, uh, they are worth the visit. So go check them out.
Yeah, and the end of your night also is kind of World Cup related, right? The concert you went to.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. There's an artist I've liked for probably a good 7-8 years now. Her name's Amber Mark, and I went to her concert that same day, and she was just featured in the Coca-Cola World Cup song along with J Balvin, and I want to say a third or fourth artist, but I just those were the ones that I remembered. Yeah, and it's worth a listen. It's pretty cool.
Is that like the official song, or is that just the Coca-Cola song? Because I remember, is it like the Waka Waka, like that kind of
Yeah,
one where they're gonna be playing it every time?
I think it's like the Coca-Cola one because I heard this
Okay,
one with like Jelly Roll that might be like an official one. So I'm not really sure. Okay, so it's also with Travis Barker, and I'm gonna have to click on the link to see who the other person is. And Steve Vai. So it's a Coca-Cola anthem for FIFA World Cup 26. It's got a cool animated video. We'll link it out on the show description if you want to check it out.
cool. Yeah, I got to see it, man. And then, the concert was good.
Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, the venue it's called the Fonda, and it was like just a smaller venue, so it felt pretty intimate. You could actually like see the artist without like squinting, and you didn't have to like look at it like on the jumbotron. It didn't even have a jumbotron, so it was really cool. Would definitely recommend it.
Awesome, and that sounds like a really exciting time. Something that wasn't exciting for you over the weekend is your. What do you even know what I'm going to say?
No, but I like the transition. I like where it's going,
Is your March Madness bracket, man? You couldn't have done worse if you tried.
dude. I literally could not have done worse if I tried. I Yeah, I should have tried to do worse. we're
For
in.
those of you guys that don't know, we do a yearly March Madness bracket with our friend Rachel that puts it on, and I think there's like 13 of us probably this year,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. And Mario is dead last, and I think you essentially like have started. You started dead last, and you're just still at the bottom.
Yeah, usually like I'll go a week or two where I guess like a week where I'm still okay, and then I tank. But I've progressively gotten like surprisingly really bad at these bracket type games. Yeah, I did one for work where I did it a little bit different. I was it was the same core of the one I'm in the group with you, but for work I did it a little different just to kind of like hedge my bets. And even that, I'm like 26 out of 32, and I think the last 4 people didn't actually fill the bracket out. So I'm like 26 out of like 28.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Mario! So don't get on the betting apps is what I would say.
Yeah.
First, and yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. I'm rocking a 31 percentile on the national average for the bracket that
Yeah,
Amilcar
I will
and
say
I are in.
your potential points are higher than me, and I'm like in 6th or 7th place, I think. So you still have the potential, if everything goes right, to get more points. But we'll see.
Hey, we've talked a lot about how important potential can be, so I'll take it.
Exactly. And honestly, like kind of on that same note, talking about brackets and kind of tournaments. Another bracket that you completely busted was thinking there was potential of Inter Miami and SDFC in a final, and they both lost.
It was
You
nice
want to talk
while
about
it
that, Mario?
lasted. Yeah, so I think I said on here on the podcast that I was pretty confident that we would win at Toluca. I was very wrong about that one. And I thought there was a chance that we'd get to play Miami, but that's not going to happen. At least not in this tournament. Yeah, we ended up losing at Toluca 4-0. Yeah, we never really got quite into it, other than maybe like the first minute. And yeah, Miami was kind of maybe surprisingly like knocked out by Nashville, which at least technically like at least an even distribution of 4 MLS and four Mexican teams in the tournament. There was a lot of comments too saying like, oh, the 4 big clubs from Mexico, which would be Cruz Azul, Mr. Leo would agree, Tigres, America, and Toluca, which they are pretty good, but I would say Chivas should be in there as well. And then on the MLS,
That's a
ahead,
homer take.
Hey, they're one of the all-time winningest clubs. Second, actually, or maybe tied with Toluca now. But yeah, on the MLS side, we have LA Galaxy, we have Nashville, we have Seattle, and LAFC. So pretty good teams as well.
Yeah, and they're all, it's a Mexican team playing an American team. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that Cruz Azul LAFC match is gonna be really good because I think LAFC, out of the 4 that are left, is probably the top team, at least from what we've seen this year.
Yeah,
And Cruz Azul seems like they're a pretty solid team. I watched the Monterrey Cruz Azul game, and that one was really good. And Cruz Azul played really well against Monterrey, so that'd be one that I'm looking forward to. But the way Toluca was playing against SCFC, they look like they're on a completely different level. So then again, they're the champions of Liga MX for the past couple of seasons, right? So I guess it makes sense.
yeah, absolutely. And we did mention the altitude in Toluca is over 8,000 feet above sea level. What's San Diego? Maybe like a couple hundred? Like,
I think it is sea level because we are in the ocean. So
yeah. Yeah, I guess.
The way the ocean works, Mario, is that sea level is where the ocean is, and San Diego is on the ocean. So
Well, it's in Mission Valley, so it's kind of like, I guess even then it's in the valley. So
Yeah.
I was getting super technical. I was assuming like maybe 30, 40 feet. But yeah,
yeah, fair enough. It probably is something like that.
Yeah. Essentially 0, though.
You know what's funny? We weren't talking about geography. Remember, we took a geography class together in no, was it geography?
Yeah, it was geography because the teacher had like the best name you could have to teach the class. I'm blanking on the name, but it was like geography related. His last name.
I just remember his favorite ice cream was Cherry Garcia.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I remember about that.
Yeah.
And we were in that class together, and clearly some of it didn't stick. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Oh man, it's gonna bug me now that we can't remember the name. But it was like
the people have to tune in next week for you to do some research on Southern College professors, and see if you can find it.
Yeah, I feel like maybe it was like No, that was a different teacher who taught math, and his last name was Root. So kind of like also related, but anyways, okay. I think we're getting
Going on
uh,
this massive tangent.
okay. So yeah, we're getting a little off topic, but we were kind of there with San Diego FC. Not the best week overall. Tough game at Toluca. Honestly, I feel like they were still struggling like this weekend after that game. But yeah, we kind of crashed out of the Champions or CONCACAF Champions Cup. Uh, which I will say, it's been really cool having like an in-season sort of tournament. Like I've never cared for that tournament before, and now that San Diego City's in it, I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like I'm like looking forward to it like during the week. And what's uniquely nice is that it's during a time zone where we're not working. We can actually watch it at home for the most part, unlike the Champions League. Not that we watch it at work, of course. Wink, wink.
Definitely don't do that.
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely been nice. But unfortunately, it is what it is. What are you gonna do? I think we can chalk it up to it's like this is like the number one ranked team in the tournament, probably outside of Inter Miami. They're probably the number one ranked team. So it makes sense that they're playing against us because we were essentially one of the lower ranked teams coming in for the first time. So honestly, it's a good measuring stick. Obviously, it shows we have potential because we saw that the 3-2 home leg. So there's potential to play with them, but I think we definitely miss Dua for sure as a defender. And I think, like you said, the altitude along with just the final third and the definition. I think Toluca had that definition. The frustrating thing about that match is I think we started that match kind of how we played against Pumas, where we're just kind of holding back. But Toluca was just coming and coming. And for the first 20, 30 minutes, you're like, all right, it's just a matter of time before they score because you can't really hold this back, you know? And I think as a fan, it's probably the most frustrating football to watch just because there's no attacking, no counters or anything. And then once the first goal happened, it kind of blew everything open because then SDFC was essentially knocked out because of the away goals, which is unique that they still do away goals, but you know the European Champions League doesn't do away goals anymore. So they were out and they had to kind of go push and play for the game. And once that happened, they kind of opened up the back a little bit, and then it was over pretty quickly after that. So yeah, it's a bummer, but I think like you said, I think the match over the weekend, the late last second tie, kind of showed that they're just pretty exhausted. So maybe it is a benefit now they can kind of focus on the league and not have to play those like 2-0 Wednesday nights and then also again on Saturday or Sunday. They only had a couple of days off. I think they played Thursday. Did they play Thursday this week?
They did Wednesday and then
Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then Sunday during the day. So really, really hot at the game. But it was a good game until the end, which was a bummer. It was like an 86-minute equalizer. But your boy Diego Luna, man, he didn't even start. What's going on with him?
He was coming back from injury, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was filming the latest Star Wars movie too. I'm just kidding. No, but he was he's wrapping up from injury. But when he did come on, it's essentially like he created a lot of opportunities, and then eventually Real Salt Lake did get the tie. And he's trying to get a call up for the World Cup. He was one of the like players modeling the jersey, so I think he's got a good chance. He's definitely really fun to watch. But yeah, it was a bummer that we ended up tying. But by the end of the game, the tie even felt like, okay, I'll take this, because it looked like if the game went on a little bit longer, San Diego FC could have probably lost. And yeah, I think it's silly maybe to say that this about like professional athletes, but I think they were still tired from the Toluca game. I think it took a lot out of them. And obviously they ended the game with 10 players, but like the last 15 or so minutes, it just didn't really seem like they had like the same like intensity or honestly even ability to run as they did at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I think it's also something that they build on, right? Because I think they haven't really played this midweek weekend series essentially. And they've done this for back-to-back weeks now. So last year all they were doing was playing on the weekends. Essentially that was it, right? So they had that week off and they were ready for that every time. Now it's like, all right, cool, we adapt, we learn, and then we move on, right? At the end of the day, it's still the second year of this team. They're still playing really well. I still love that they still play the same kind of football that we've known them to play, which is like the attacking style, just trying to put possession based, really pressing hard. So they still did that, but like you said, towards the end, like they were definitely keeping more possession, and I don't think we play as well when the other team has the possession, which is what happened with Pumas and happened with Toluca, same thing. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a weird position to be in. They tied 2 games, lost 1, so we're kind of in a weird little spot right now. And the 2 that they tied, it was kind of last second. They
Yeah.
should have won those games, So it's a little frustrating. But we're still undefeated. I guess we can look at that side of things, right, Mario?
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're in a good spot. We're on 4th place. And I feel that right now the international break that is coming at a pretty good time for San Diego FC, so they can recharge a little bit, regroup, and continue what's still going to be a pretty long season before the sprint season next season, which we'll have to cover in a later episode. But ultimately, we're in a good spot. 11 points out of our first 5 games. So yeah, overall, I think pretty good. I think now teams are realizing, okay, this is a good team, and they're coming with the mentality of we're going to play a tough soccer game. Where I feel like it's human nature where you might hear from other teams like, okay, they're good, they're getting good results, but you get there and you think it's going to be different for you, and then I'm referring to last year, teams showed up and played us, and then essentially realized the hard way how good this San Diego FC team is, and now we're not really getting that advantage, I guess, because they now have experienced it firsthand.
Absolutely, man. So I think let's transition over to some European football. I think we had the second leg, or I guess second leg of the round of 16 in the Champions League. We talked about kind of the Champions League last week, who we thought was going to move through. I think we had a pretty good idea. There was some things that surprised us of the Champions League, but we know the teams that are moving through. It's going to be Sporting, PSG, Real Madrid, Arsenal, Barcelona, Liverpool, Bayern Munich, and Atletico. So some that we expected. What was the biggest surprise, Mario, from this second leg for you?
It's got to be Bodo Glimt not going through. They were looking so dominant against other teams, and then they absolutely were not. I wanted a remontada, and we talked about that there would be someone that comes back. It was just the one team I didn't want it to happen to.
Yeah, I saw like a bunch of memes that was like, "Oh, the remontada we wanted," and it was like
Yeah.
PSG and the Atletico ones. It was like the remontada we got, and it was Sporting coming back and winning 5-0.
Exactly. Yeah. I just wanted Man City to. That was the remontada I would have picked to come back. But honestly, no one really came close. It was basically we got one remontada, which was Sporting, and then all the other teams that were previously like dominant just took care of business like pretty handedly, I would say.
Yeah, the only one I think that didn't, and it wasn't, they weren't winning by a lot, but was the Liverpool Galatasaray, because Liverpool was lost 1-0. But we talked about how, maybe it was not a fluke, but they were playing away, playing at home is going to be totally different. And obviously they took care of business at home, winning 4-0.
Yeah, absolutely. Then the one that got a little bit interesting was also the Atletico Tottenham game. But then Atletico scored 2 more goals and just kept it out of reach eventually.
Yeah, man, Tottenham must be hurting, dude. They're relegation battle. Don't
1 point away.
Yeah, now that no Champions League this year, and they're obviously not even remotely close to any sort of cup next year.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is gonna be rough, man, for them. At this point, they just gotta win 1 or 2 more games, really, in reality, to try to get out of that relegation zone.
They're actually the only Premier League team that has not won a game this calendar year.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's looking tough. Yeah, and the only cup they're near is really like the championship.
Which is terrible to say, but I know that I was looking at Instagram the other day, and they were talking about like the salaries and how different the salaries will be if they end up dropping, and essentially like their salaries get cut in half. So people that are making 200,000 a week are going to be making 100,000, and then it just trickles down, which is, I mean, I think you put it really well, right? It was like did you say the performance review?
Yeah, it's like the most true performance review you could have in sports.
Yeah, exactly. But hopefully they won't end up going down, because I think it's always fun to watch like the London Derby with them, and all 50 London teams that it seems like there are. So hopefully they'll end up kind of getting it back together. But I think we have some pretty interesting matches coming up. The one that honestly, one of the ones I'll go back to that I was really surprised about was the Newcastle Barcelona one. That, like, I did not expect it to go from being 1-1 and Barcelona, I would say, barely winning, to then all of a sudden just coming back and just absolutely destroying them 7-2. And the first half was kind of interesting, and then Barcelona just went on a rampage, and it was over.
Yeah, I feel like that was one where Hansi Flick was like, "All right, what's up, guys? Do you guys want to like play in this or not? Like, come on." And then they're like, "Okay," they just handle their business basically.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think most people talk about Lamine Yamal and how he's kind of the trigger, but I feel like for me on that team, Rafinha is so much of a bigger part of everything from goals to assists. So I feel like he dictates the pace and dictates kind of how the team attacks much more than Lamine Yamal does, at least currently. And so when he's on, it's bad news for the opposition.
Rafinha also seems like very agile. Like he can move the ball really quickly. I think he's got more like tools in his belt per se on like how to score goals. Lamine Jamal's great too, but I think he's got more like a very specific, like can shoot from outside the box and score really nice goals, especially from the right side. But I think Rafinha can create a little bit more, has like a little bit more flexibility in a way.
Yeah, so this actually takes me to this interesting. I was gonna say this interesting article. Let's be honest, it was on Instagram. Something that I saw, and it was they did a poll with all the La Liga players, and it was, who do you think, or who would you want to build your team around, or who would you sign if you could sign anyone in La Liga? Who do you think was like the top 3 people, Mario?
Okay, top 3. Mbappe.
Yeah, so Mbappe was tied for first with 30% of people decided to say that they would start with the team with Mbappe.
And then I'm gonna say maybe just random Rodri.
No.
Okay. Then
I think it was only Spanish players, so like people that were already existing in La Liga.
Okay. I guess I'll say Lamine Yamal.
Lamine Yamal was actually third, yeah. So they were saying 17%, and then the other person is one of his teammates, actually. Which you might not guess.
Oh man, I'm blanking. Gabi?
Close. His compatriot. Pedri was actually who they said. So Pedri and Mbappe were tied for 30% of players said that they would start their team with him, and then Yamal was third, or second or third, whatever you want to call it, 17%, which is kind of crazy. It goes to show you, like, midfielders really. I mean, obviously, Yamal's a winger, but Pedri being such a dominant midfielder, and like, people saying they're going to start the team with him.
Wow, pretty interesting.
And I feel like he's very like under the radar, or maybe underappreciated, even for Barcelona. Like, he came on, played so well, and then he had like this, he was like ravaged by injuries for a couple of seasons, and now he's kind of starting to come back. And anytime I see any sort of like starting 11 or best like midfielders, Pedri's always like up there, but I feel like I don't hear about him really. Like, I don't hear people talking about, best midfielder, like they talked about Modric or Xavi or Iniesta or all that. Like, they're talking about other players, maybe the midfielder Real Madrid or other players like that. And then I feel like he's very underappreciated. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think it's kind of like anyone that's come up in the era of like a Messi, Ronaldo. I think it's something like that, where Lamine Yamal is like the really young, like promising like player. A lot of them are really young, especially the Barcelona team, and the media would just gravitate to like those players because of maybe generate a little bit more headlines.
Yeah, and I think he did because he had a similar, maybe not 16 years old, like the trajectory, but I think he played when he was like 18, him and Gavi, like 18, 19 years old. And they're part of the generation where they're playing so much, so young, that they're just starting to get just destroyed by a bunch of injuries, knees left and right. And I think it's almost like he peaked at that point, then he just got injured and people kind of forgot about him. And now he's trying to build his case, but now he's like, I don't know, 20, 21, 22. So, which is crazy to think of as like, you're not that 18, 19-year-old that's like a wonder kid. I thought that was interesting. Kind of those names.
And in theory, it could take him another 1 or 2 years and then still peak even more, and he'd still be really young and have a lot of very serviceable highlights of a career. I guess he'd still give him another 5 years before he's like in his 30s.
No, completely. And now you see, I mean, you see the Ronaldos and Messis, which obviously are outliers, but playing, into their 40s or late 30s.
Yeah.
But I think soccer players, what you would say 34, 35, you're probably like not starting to peter off. You're probably like petering off and riding off into the sunset, you'd say.
Yeah, like see that he retired like I think 32, 33.
But he was early though, right? He
Yeah.
had some more in the
Oh,
tank, right?
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, it's crazy. I guess we'll see how all these players develop, but maybe some interesting matches. I think we'll dive into it maybe next week because I think they're not till April 7th and 8th, so we got a couple of weeks. Like you said, the international break, and then we'll dive more into kind of our predictions, and we'll do the exact opposite of whatever Mario says going
Yeah.
forward.
Well, talking of sort of like odds, do you know who has the highest odds to win the Champions League right now?
The Champions League. Ooh, I'm gonna guess based off the brackets. I'm gonna go with someone on the right side of the bracket, not left, because that's just the death. So I'm gonna go. It's either gonna be Barca Athletic, Sporting, or Arsenal. I think Arsenal had it before this, and I'm gonna stick with Arsenal. I think Arsenal's the one that has it.
Yeah, that is correct. Arsenal has the highest odds, and for that reason, because the understanding is from the other side, like the second highest odds is actually Bayern, but the rationale given is that Bayern would have to go through Real Madrid, and then they would have to go through PSG, so it'd just be a little bit harder to get to the final.
Wow, you're writing Liverpool off already. Wow.
So yeah, I guess so.
In this case, hey, everyone put your money on Liverpool.
Yeah, actually, everything I just said, yeah, do the opposite.
Yeah, and I'm guessing up there with the odds, it's probably Barcelona's probably second. Or no, you said second Bayern Munich. I'm sure Barcelona's up there. Although I will say that Barcelona Athletic tie, I'm not even going to jump into it because we'll dive into it a little bit more. But that's one I'm very excited to jump into for the next
Yeah,
time.
we're gonna see a lot of those two teams playing each other in the next couple of days. The last thing I wanted to just shout out for the Champions League was Harry Kane had a really cool goal against Bayern Munich, which I think is not maybe like I just usually don't see them like that type of player, but he like uh basically like nutmegged the player to score like kind of like top corner. It was a really nice goal, so I just wanted to give him a shout out. I believe it made it not be on Champions League, but in the Bundesliga, he also got his 50th goal this season, so he's on track to potentially beat the scoring record there. So I hope he continues the season the way it's going for him.
Man, your birthday twin.
My birthday twin.
Finding any way to shout him out.
It's something about Leo born in '93.
Oh man, I know it's funny because when we were at the jersey store, you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna get the England jersey with Harry Kane." I was like, "What? Why are you getting the England jersey?" Like, "Oh no, I got to get a Harry Kane jersey." Which I was like, "Wow, you're really going for it."
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, and we'll talk about this later, but he might not maybe come back for the next World Cup. He'll be 30, pushing 37, which yeah, so it might be his last
37 is the
season.
new 27, Mario. Come on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially for a player like him. I feel like he in the Bundesliga he's thrived so much because I guess maybe it goes to show you how tough the EPL is and how much more banged up you get playing the EPL and how much more defensive it is. So he's just thriving in Germany. But now I really think Bayern Munich have to take the next step, reality, and obviously they have a tough path. It's Real Madrid, then PSG or Liverpool, and then Barcelona, Atletico, or Arsenal. So I think it's going to be a rough path, but I think that's exactly what they need, right? Because now they've gotten the domestic stuff, and they really have to prove that they're ready to go.
Yeah, and talking about like kind of getting older and stuff, they do say it's easier to play in places like Spain. I know Germany's still kind of cold, but England gets really cold, so it's like even harder on your body.
Arthritis, man, sets in earlier. Speaking of England, though, this is a perfect transition. Did you watch? Or did you just get to see the Carabao Cup?
I did not.
Well, I will let you know that Man City ended up winning, which I think was a shocker, more of a surprise that they ended up winning 2-0. Fortunately, I was gonna say our boy, but my boy, Spanish goalkeeper, well, reserve, but from Spain, Kepa made a big mistake. Maybe not a big mistake, but made a mistake that ended up leading to the first goal, which opened up the game and then kind of ended up having them lose it. Yeah, I think it was a interesting game. However, I'm also not super surprised Man City won because this is what they're playing for, right? They're out of the Champions League, like they're really focused on this cup, and then the league. It's not out of reach, but it's becoming more and more increasingly difficult because I think Arsenal has like a 9-point lead on them. So yeah, what do you think about like the Carabao Cup? Do you think it's like the least important cup out of like the teams that in the EPL?
Um, no, I think it's the second least important cup. The least important cup would be the one that's played between, unless I'm getting confused, but the winner of the, I think, Premier League versus the winner of the FA Cup. There's one that
It's not Supporter Shield, right? That's MLS.
No, it's not that one. I'm like, let me see what it's called. Premier League. I just got cups.
Oh,
with
the
like,
Community Shield.
yes, that I think is the least
Oh
important
my
one.
gosh.
I got like cups pictures of
Okay,
like
and then
actual
that
cups.
one's played earlier in the year, right?
Uh, yes, it's right before the season begins.
Okay, so it's kind of like a Supercopa de España where the La
Yeah,
Liga winner and the Copa del Rey
yeah,
winner. Okay.
exactly. So you're not even getting like the same like players from like the previous season. People have already gone on to their like next to like the next thing. So I would say it's probably that.
Yeah, and I think it's also I don't love the cups that are played at super early because also the teams change so much nowadays. There's
Mhm.
so much transfers going on that you have like a couple of new players. They haven't really gelled. They've been off for a couple of months. Like this next year will be like post World Cup. Like, do they want to play? Are they exhausted? So I don't really love the early cup finals like that.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not fully fit. And just more context, it's the holders of the FA Cup and the Premier League.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, there you go. They ended up winning that one. So, I guess Man City will not go titleless this year. Potentially Pep's last year. We'll see.
They've
Has it
said that for like
renewed. So,
three
we'll see how that
years.
one goes. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. Yeah. But I mean, it just seems like now it's kind of his time there is winding down only because they're not as dominant as they were before.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just me thinking that like he's going to move on to like a new challenge now that he's, he's won everything and he
Yeah.
doesn't have to prove anything to anybody, but it just seems like he's not as dominant as he was for a while. His like reign is coming to be over. And now he's probably like, all right, let's move on. But I mean, I don't know if I was talking to you about it, but I was like, what do you move on to from? Like
Yeah.
you've dominated the La Liga, you've dominated the German league, you've dominated EPL. Like, what are you going to go like PSG? Like, do you go national team? Like,
If it's available, yeah, I don't think that'll be available unless Spain like really has a bad World Cup.
hey, maybe
But
maybe he'll bust Pochettino and just come to the US. He's like, you know what, screw this. We're going to go to the US. We're going to make you champions.
yeah, Pochettino's 100% not coming back.
Wait, why do you think that?
I just don't think he's enjoying being the coach for the U.S. national
Oh,
team.
you think it's a him thing, not a US
it's a him thing. I do not think he's enjoying this job. This job is not enjoyable for him. It's my opinion.
Why?
He just for the longest time it seemed like hasn't initially it felt like he just didn't know a lot about like the U.S. soccer players, and maybe it's been just bad media bits that have surfaced the internet, but he's also made comments at different times about like potentially coaching other teams again in Europe. I don't know, like the way he carries himself, like just seems like someone that's not fully in it. It's almost like if you like know like someone in a relationship, like a couple, and you think one person like is in it more than the other. Like it kind of feels that way. Like I feel like Pochettino's like already ready for like going back to coach a club team in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was in a position before he took the men's national team where he was like kind of had just gotten sacked, didn't really know what was kind of the next thing. Maybe this just kind of popped up. He's like, why not? Like, I think the U.S. national team, it's like I don't want to say rock bottom, but they're playing so far below the standards that they're set that we're the US is setting that if you do well with them, great. If you don't, you can just chalk it up onto like, just like they're just not ready,
Yeah.
So maybe it was like a win-win for him and and it also gives him a job for a year or two and then he can start, figuring out what he wants to do at the club or like the international level maybe.
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, I actually think the US national team's prospects are looking a lot better now than even like 6 months ago.
Mhm.
So I don't even think he's going to have like a bad World Cup, even if he has a good one. I just see him potentially going back to a club team in Europe. There's even been rumors that Tottenham would maybe get him again, assuming they'd have to avoid relegation to maybe interest him.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, I think he's out after the World Cup.
Fair enough. I mean, speaking of international teams, we have my guy Ronaldo. He's got injured in his home league in RSL and is now not going to be coming to play the US and Mexico. So he's not coming with Portugal for the friendlies. How do you feel about that, man? Not that we're going to go watch him, but I'm like, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are really bummed out. Like, people like Americans and Mexican fans that were just like, I don't really care about the match. I just want to go see Ronaldo play, one last time potentially.
um, I'm laughing because when that happened, I saw someone like the top comment on like a sports page that posted that Ronaldo wasn't coming to the games was, and forgive my language, but I'm quoting it, se la pelaron los revendedores. Which is basically translates to like the resellers got screwed, like people that bought a bunch of tickets just to like resell them. But yeah, it kind of shows like the sentiment. People were bummed to like see one of the goats play at the brand new or remodeled Estadio Azteca, and then here in the US. But honestly, like, good for you, Ronaldo. Get healthy. We need you for the World Cup. Like, I want you to have the best possible World Cup. So yeah, I hope that means he'll be 100% come the World Cup.
I know. Hopefully, man. It seems like he's probably doesn't have a bother in mind. He's probably chilling. I saw his fiance had a Instagram post, and it was of both of their hands, and it was in the car, and like the amount of money. It was like he was wearing like a diamond Patek Philippe, and then so was she, and the huge ring that's, I don't know, like $6 million or something, and then they were in the Bugatti. So like I saw this Instagram post that like basically showed like the Bugatti's worth $10 million, and each one of those watches worth $1 million, and then the ring was worth $5 million. The amount of money this guy has.
Yeah.
And they're like, I think they were in Riyadh still, so it's just like the amount of money that this dude's got. He's just like, I'm cool. I don't have to travel all the way to the US, like that 16, 17, 18 hour flight. Like, I'm chilling. I got this.
Yeah, just rest those legs, be ready for the World Cup. That's when we need you.
Exactly. Yeah. We got to make it. I mean, you say we, but you like we as like fans, like we want you to come and play to make it as exciting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of another international, that we might have some good news. Maybe we'll be able to get to watch him a little bit more. Is Antoine Griezmann. Our guy is linked with a transfer to Orlando City after. Oh my God! Right? Were you doing the is it Fortnite dance?
I don't. Yeah, he'd also do like that one, but he had like this. Yeah, there's been different ones.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. He's potentially, it seems like, I'm not official, but he's going to be coming potentially to Orlando City, which is exciting to see some bigger names, man. I'm bummed out because that was one of the names that I thought was, but not tied, I think loosely speculated to SDFC when the whole Chucky thing was happening. And even before then, I feel like when the team had started. So it's a bummer because I think he's such a fun player to watch, and also massively underrated. But honestly, having him in the MLS, Orlando, very, very close to Messi. So, might brew up a rivalry there, but just having another player on another team, we know James just came. It seems like every team is having like at least that one signature player, European player that it's just like, it's going to bring the league up, man. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I agree. I think 5 years from now, it's going to be like, even from now, it's going to be significantly more competitive. And I think these European players that are coming from those leagues will be even younger. But yeah, Griezmann's one that I wouldn't even say he's like washed up. He still played pretty good at Atletico de Madrid, despite getting a little bit up there on his age. Yeah, he's a really fun player. I think he's someone that has really good like energy. I think fans usually tend to like him. He's like seems like a nice person too.
Yeah, completely. So I'm excited to see him, and hopefully we keep having those players come in. Like you said, he's not the I'm retiring, the retirement age that we talk about sometimes coming to the MLS. It's like they're coming younger and younger, and and still big names. Players waiting for a free transfer. I think that's what the MLS is the big thing. They're not going to pay big fees for most players, but if you have someone on a free transfer that wants to try to like market themselves, I think in the US, that's where the big money comes. So very excited about that. We'll see if that ends up happening. But yeah, man, I think that's all we got for today. We're excited. I think we got a couple of episodes coming up. We got a jersey breakdown. We're gonna go back to our roots, Mario. The 2 mics, 1 World Cup.
Yeah.
The World Cup starting, so we're gonna be doing a lot of group breakdowns, jerseys, teams. So tune in. Make sure you follow us. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of all we got. That does it for our episode. Like we say, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you part of your day, talking soccer and hanging out. Remember, find us on Instagram and X @_Pitch Report, and now on video on YouTube @Pitch Report Pod. And I'm Amilcar.
I'm Mario.
Thank you so much. That's all we got.
Thank you. Bye.